Good morning, everyone. Hello, friends, and welcome to our third webinar on OBFit series in connection with our biggest RAK weight loss challenge. One of the biggest challenges faced today is obesity and being overweight, which is largely the contribution of overeating and a sedentary lifestyle, leading to various metabolic diseases such as diabetes, hyperlipidemia, heart issues, joint ailments, etc. In UAE, around 40.1% of adults are overweight and around 40% of children are overweight. This is an amazing survey and a health concern of today for us and the society. RAK Hospital, a premium healthcare facility that brings committed healthcare to your doorstep and to the society, is proud to host today's webinar. And the topic of the webinar is diet and obesity. I take this privilege to introduce our today's speaker, Ms. Ruba, who is a HOD of Dietary Department at RAK Hospital. So, Ms. Ruba is a professional healthcare coach, specialized in therapeutic diet management to support patients in both outpatient and inpatient departments with cardiac diseases, hyperlipidemia, digestive disorders, and post surgery diets. She's also a dietary coach for weight management, sports nutrition, endocrine disorders, etc. Ms. Ruba provides healthy eating habits and diet regimens for different age groups, including neonatal, pediatrics, adults, and geriatrics, along with her experience in pregnant and lactating women. She is specialized in creating individualized dietary care plans based on nutritional needs, dietary restrictions, and health factors. She's also a member of American Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, Arab Nutrition Association, and UAE Nutrition Association. She's also a proud member of Emirates Medical Association, ESPN, and ASPEN. So we hand over this webinar to Ms. Ruba to enlighten you about today's topic.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much for this lovely introduction. And I'm so proud to be a part of raising awareness about such an important topic and aspect, which is obesity and weight management that is taking a lot of popular name in the current time. As we go today, so I'll be covering the effect of the diet therapy on the weight, and we'll show you different measures and let's say the consequences of health of being obese. We'll be highlighting also the most popular diets that we can hear about and teach you the difference between each of them, and so many other strategies that helps in weight management and the long-term measures and precautions. So in the beginning, we need to make sure and we need to understand that weight loss requires a change not only in the diet, it's basically as a lifestyle that includes both dietary changes and also physical activity. Focusing on following a strict diet may lead to feeling of guilt sometimes rather than satisfaction. So let's make sure that we take it into longer term. And the cycle of the diet starts when we restrict, then deprive, then crave, then given, and feel guilt. So this cycle go over all over again and takes over our emotion. So the diet fails you, it does not fail, you do not fail the diet. This is very important to know, that the cycle need to be broken at time to make sure that you are successful in the changes that you are doing. So the first thing that we need to do is to change the mindset, understand that it's not just only a matter of time. It is a life journey that starts with setting real goals that you need to reach it at a certain point of time, and don't be so hard on push on yourself. Rather than feel free, feel like take your time, that it's gonna happen in the end. And it's very important to be aware that there are certain ways to do that, to keep you on the track. First, you should keep a diary, or like, let's call it a food journal, where you record all the foods that you are taking, the portion sizes, and the emotions that you had while you are eating the food. What are the things that triggered you to have this certain food? How do you feel about it? And whether there is certain things that reduced your temptation and made you feel full earlier. And find whatever works better for you. And as we know, obesity is considered now as a chronic disease that may lead to other chronic comorbidities. It's so many evidence exists for the benefit of providing continuous multidisciplinary program that combines the diet and psychological support, motor and or functional support, and then also physical activity that leads into a better outcome for controlling the obesity. Highlighting the major important statistics earlier in 1975, it tripled from that time to in 2016, around more than 1.9 billion adults around 18 years old and older were overweight. And of these, over 650 million were actually obese. And obesity, actually, it is defined by having the body mass index, or the BMI, beyond 30, where it's measuring the weight and the height of the persons. And then around 39% of the adults were aged 18 and above were actually overweight in 2017. Only 13% around were obese. So as we know, a lot of consequences are leading to increasing the weight, and most of the world's population are living in the countries where overweight and obesity actually the major problem that actually takes their life, rather than being underweight. And then around 39 millions of children that are aged between 5 and 10, they are overweight or obese by the end of the 2020. So estimating that over 340 million of children and adolescents that they will age between 5 and 19 will be or were overweight and obese in 2016, and it's increasing by the end of year 2020 and 2021. So the thing is that we need to understand that obesity is preventable, and it starts by taking control of your lifestyle and putting things into track. And you should always make sure to motivate yourself and make sure that there are things that you keep in your mind to understand what's happening beyond that, to make sure that you are not putting yourself or health at risk. You need to understand by decreasing the risk, by losing some weight, you will not only decrease the risk of chronic disease, you will also get more energy, better sleep. As it shows in some researches that as little as 5 to 10% weight loss can decrease the risk of cardiovascular diseases. Around 10 to 20 pound weight loss can improve the blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, and it helps for longer term control in the blood sugar. These are some of the effects of the obesity that so many are suffering, but they are not relating to the weight. A majority of obese patients will have migraines, will have elevated cholesterol, blood sugar, blood pressure. They might fall into depression. They can have some problems in the sleeping, in breathing, irregularity in the periods, or like PCOS. It can actually affect also the urinary tract, and so many other digestive problems such as reflux, acidity, it could be bloatiness, and etc. So it's actually diminishes, the obesity diminishes the overall quality of the life. You may not be able to do the things that you are actually other people are doing easily, such as participating in so many other public activities and so many other problems that we have mentioned earlier. So talking about the majority of or let's say most of the diets that we hear about and how to choose or how to go about the best diet or plan for each body. We need to understand that what is the term fad diet, as we see and we read and we hear on social media or in the internet as we search. We see so many phrases. So what are the difference and what are these diets and how we can go about it, and is it suitable for us? We need to understand that by learning the basic. So basically fad diets are plans that are sold as best and fastest approach to lose weight in the very short term, that you may lose like 10 kg or etc. These kinds of diets are often seen and endorsed by celebrities or promoted through social media. Some have to eliminate certain foods, like certain diets would require you or ask you to eliminate, like, let's say, carbohydrates or restrict the amount of calories or cook in a specific way. Although some of these diets may be recommended in special situations, many of these they lack the major nutrients. Like fiber and complex carbohydrates and so many other vitamins and minerals that are actually needed by our body. So many researchers supported that actually, and it is one of the basic ways or very important ways to understand that is this diet reliable or for which condition can be followed, is making sure that there is enough studies happened. And we highlighting the most important diets that we hear about nowadays: paleo diet, Atkins diet, vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian diets that are really having a sound right now. Others could be the Ornish diet, Dukan diets, the zone diets, intermittent fasting, low carbohydrates, or Mediterranean diet. The slight difference can be seen in different kind of diets, but the main difference we can see in the most 2 or 3, let's say, diets nowadays between Atkins, keto diet, zone diet. That the certain foods, as we can see, is being omitted in these diets where it's not in other food. So that gives us the idea that these kind of diets are unbalanced, and following these diets for the longer run, it does not help or support our body. How do we structure the diet plan? First of all, we need to know that if we have any other certain condition that may require us to be monitored closely by a physician, we need to keep that into consideration, so it will not harm us or it will not affect us or affect our health for the longer run. The best way to make sure that our diet is balanced and we can start it from scratch is having plenty and variety of fruits and vegetables, including fiber in our meals, and choosing the best out of the carbohydrates, focusing on complex carbohydrates rather than simple sugar, and use modest amounts of healthy fats like olive oil, any other vegetable oil, avocados, raw nuts, and cut back on processed and simple sugar food as much as possible, replacing it with complex carbs or healthier sources of sugar, and keep our intake of dairy low in fat rather than skimmed. And as I said earlier, it should not only focusing on losing the total weight rather than having a healthy diet plan. The weight is gonna be lost in in certain time. We need to make sure that the weight that being lost is not affecting our muscles, and that if that can be conveyed when you're having a balanced diet, you're having proper amounts of macronutrients, which are the carbohydrates, proteins, and fat. We are preserving our muscles and we are targeting the fat loss. Initially, if the body mass index is high, that is very easy for us to lose fast weight, because anyways the weight is very high. For example, a person whose weight is 120 will lose much faster than a person who is 80 or 70 kg. But the rate itself can be measured, and it should not be exceeding around 500 to 2 kg per week. Losing the weight gradually and steadily will actually be more successful to keep the weight off later on and maintaining it. And making sure that you're not affecting your health by affecting the muscles or any other losses in the body. There could be so many strategies, but we need to name it and time it, and we need to go all about it one by one. And as I said, it's a more of like combination of so many things that you need to cooperate it together to have a better results. So as you are changing your lifestyle, you need to also look into your physical activity, improve it if you have a sedentary lifestyle or you're not active. You can do simple approaches that may change that. You need to have a behavioral modification, and you need to keep monitoring yourself, monitoring your diet, and making sure that you are on the right track. The behavioral strategies or modification comes along with lifestyle modification. They are the first line therapy for patients who are actually obese and overweight. And the most effective weight loss intervention, that the one includes moderate reduced calorie diet with increased physical activity and the use of behavioral strategies. The goal should be actually the weight loss 5 to 10% in the first phase that can be maintained through longer term. While you are increasing your physical activity, adults can focus on having around 300 minutes minimum for weight loss, minutes of physical activity per week. But for sustainability or like maintenance, they can go from 150 minutes to 300 minutes in a week. Focusing more on higher intensity to moderate intensity exercises. So it's just not walking. Walking is not enough. To have a better results, we need to incorporate into higher intensity exercises that brings our heart rate to a higher level, and making sure that you are sweating. Other than that, effective behavior strategies include the combination of motivation and cognitive behavior therapy. Monitoring yourself can be by including removal of the environment triggers like foods. Don't keep anything at the house that triggers your temptation to have more junk food. Keep yourself distracted by engaging yourself in any other activity. Try to cut back all the preservatives on the junk food in the food. Make sure that you are engaged in the activities that does not require you to sit for longer periods of time. Try to engage also the family members in such activities so they also can be affected, and all the behavior is also being influenced positively. When it comes to diet or following a diet plan, previous studies have found that low-fat diets promote short-term weight loss only. But some studies suggested that low carbohydrates and higher protein, higher fat diets may also result in sustainable weight loss. But the evidence for the type of diet or on the long-term weight maintenance remains debatable. But again, as much as possible, when we follow a balanced diet, as I mentioned earlier, the chances gets higher. There could be some other strategies, if, all the things that fails, but we need to keep it as far as possible, because if you don't change your lifestyle and if you don't change whatever you feel about weight itself and perspective, still, even if you have added any other strategy like surgery or herbal treatments or pharmacotherapy, you're not gonna have the same effect or the effect that you have actually keening for. Because if the lifestyle is not changed and it is not combined with so many other strategies, you're not gonna have the results that you were aiming for. So highlighting that the weight loss and weight maintenance therapy should be based on a comprehensive weight management program that combines diet and physical activity and behavioral therapy. Majority of it actually is influence of the weight loss is affected by following the diet, a proper diet that's suiting the body. Each body is different, and it should be actually monitored to make sure that the health is not affected. And the combination therapy is more successful than using just one intervention alone. One of the best diets that it is more of like combination of so many diets, but the majority of mainly focusing on balancing all the macronutrients together and focusing on, let's say, healthy eating rather just a period of time that actually influenced so many to change their lifestyle is the Mediterranean diet. It is just a way of eating that is based on traditional cuisines of Greece, Italy, and these countries on the borderlines, the Mediterranean Sea. It's actually composed of more of like plant-based foods such as whole grains, vegetables, legumes, fruits, nuts, herbs, made up this, and they made up the base of this diet. It emphasizes unhealthy fats, eliminates refined sugar. It includes moderate high amount of carbohydrates like fruits, whole grain breads, and it contains decent amount of proteins that actually found that to be the perfect or the best plan for majority of people for sustainable weight loss and long-term effect, rather than just following or restricting the calories or the carbohydrates in such diets like ketogenic diets or low carbohydrates diets. That did not influence the overall cholesterol or fat levels in the body, because restrictive diets like low carbs diet for the longer term, it found in some researchers that it has influenced actually, yes, it influenced blood sugar, targeted lower blood sugar, but at the same time it has influenced the fat, as because when you have an imbalanced diet, when you focus on increasing one macronutrients and restricting the other, this itself will gonna affect your health overall. It can lead into so many complications that I may unlist, but you should be aware of that. So as we know, the primary source of low carbohydrates or like ketogenic diets is fat. But the primary source of calories on Mediterranean diet is actually the carbs, but the healthy carbs. And you need to understand that you should not be scared of carbohydrates. It's the main source of energy, but you need to be smart and wise about choosing your calories, your portions, and the type itself. So on a meal time, when you make it as balanced as possible, then when you start getting affected and having the results without influencing any other health problems. And the type of fat that is consumed in both diets is different, because the majority of the fats that we are focusing on such diets in Mediterranean diet, the balanced diet, it's unsaturated fatty acids, which is MUFA and PUFA, which actually the body needs. And also not only that, it focuses on the most natural type of fats that are plant-based, from fish, rather than focusing on or including the saturated fatty acids. So this is a typical sample of the Mediterranean diets and low carbohydrates diet that are rich in fiber. Make sure that not only the meals are balanced, it is equally also distributed throughout the day, because if you had one meal, 2 meals, it's different than having 5 meals, 6 meals. It's gonna be the same calories, but the distribution is gonna be different. Time it, name it, however you feel is suiting you. You need to always find alternatives and make sure that you are alternating to a better way and most suitable way for the same or like the kind of lifestyle that you are following, to make sure that the results are remaining. These are my references, and if you have any questions, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruba, for a wonderful presentation. It was really good. What I have taken some points, because you have mentioned very cleverly and suitable things that the people who are looking for weight loss should be following for this. The first line, which you have mentioned, 5 to 10% of the weight loss helps to benefit the health, mainly your cardiometabolic health. And that's the biggest thing you will be achieving, a person can achieve. Second thing, what you mentioned, that will also improve the quality of life. If you are obese, if you are overweight, so your quality of life will be hampered. You will be restricted on doing many other things which people are easily doing it. That's a good 2 points for a person to consider whenever they are planning for weight loss or obesity management. So this should be the two. I must say this should be the influencer for a person to start looking for their health. Okay, and then you mentioned about suitability and personalized. Like one T-shirt is not fit for all. Everyone has a customized shirts they wear. So the similar way, the diet should be personalized and individualized for an individual person. So that should be the thing. Like you mentioned about whatever you are planning for diet, you should be looking about your medical history, your physical history, what is best suited to you. That was a wonderful presentation. So now we will take some questions. We have already popped up many questions. Osman has asked, generally it's said to consume low calorie for weight loss. Does it mean eating less? Because this is a very common question we come across. And Osman has connected again, or do you mean to prefer a Mediterranean diet? Ruba.
See, eating healthier or eating or being on a diet, which I mentioned earlier, it could be done in so many different ways, okay? First thing any adult needs to know to highlight all the health concerns or health problems that he has. Let him get checked. If he has any chronic diseases, this matters because this helps us in deciding what is the type of diet and suitable for this body plus also the amount of macronutrients that he is needed or he needs. So restricting the calories, if eventually, of course, it's gonna help in losing weight, but it depends, because if the body, if an adult used to eat very high calories, eventually when he reduces the amount of calories that he will take, he's gonna lose weight. Mediterranean diet, it's just the phrase explaining the proportion of the diet. So the diet that is focusing on having good amount of fat, healthy amounts of sugars, and also appropriate amounts of protein. This is what I mean by Mediterranean diet. Focus excludes simple sugar and it excludes saturated fat. So basically, let's call it in another way, balanced diet. Let's not take it as a title, more like than a value. Okay, because in the end, we need to understand what is our body needs and how to go about it. I cannot give someone whose weight is 100 kg the same amount of calories as a 60 or 70 kg. So the body frame, the size, age, gender, and so many other factors influence on this or impact the decision on which diet each person to be followed. Mediterranean diet is just a phrase to explain that the diet should be in combination with so many healthier options, alternatives, alternating any food that you are taking with the better version of it. So that's it, yeah. I cannot hear you, doctor. You're muted.
Yeah. Lalit has asked, just a sec. I'm losing my connection. Yeah. Lalit has asked, my mother is obese and she is suffering from high blood pressure and also she has gout. Is taking protein and reducing carbs good for her?
As I said, it depends on her case. Since she's having gout, which is actually high uric acid levels in the body, we need to know what is the reason of that. Is it due to inflammation of the inflammation in the body, overall of the joints or whatever, or is it coming from a kidney problem? Because if it is a kidney problem, then we need to restrict the protein. So these two things are totally different. Overall, reducing the carbohydrates in a term like, it's like in a phrase like reducing the simple sugar, focusing on complex carbs and having adequate protein, just adequate protein, how much she needs, her body needs, eventually it is gonna influence her blood sugar and it will be improved. But taking higher than what she needs, and if she's suffering from any other problem, then her health will gonna be affected. So in her case, she should be evaluated, and first to before making a decision of what is the proper diet, and making sure that the kidneys are not the source of having high uric acid. And then she should also eliminate the foods that are high in purine that influence her condition, and see how is it going. If it is from inflammation and her condition is improving, then we can give her higher protein to preserve the muscle mass, as she's an elderly person and she is vulnerable to muscle loss. And at the same time, we increase her physical activity. So we need to get her checked in the beginning.
Yeah, thank you. Sujita has asked, she is mentioning her age 32. Her BMI is 30 and she has PCOD, and she is requesting to suggest a diet which may help to lose the weight.
So PCOS is one of the most common consequences of having a higher body mass index or higher body weight. So the first thing that we suggest is to increase physical activity so we can improve her insulin resistance. And this is helpful in when it's combined with proper diet. It will make her metabolism higher. She will tend to lose faster and healthier way of weight. And the best thing to do is the best diet that suits PCOS is staying away from sugar, refined sugar, especially lowering the overall carbohydrate intake, but up to a certain level that is not affecting her health, and increasing her protein and healthy fats. I was staying away from saturated fat, like staying away from dairy, rather than having so much of like milk and cheese, especially. She should have her main goal to focus on curd or yogurt, and then increasing her vegetable intake. This is very important, and focusing on lean protein like fish or plant-based proteins.
That's a good answer. Lamis has asked, this is a wonderful question. I would rather suggest, what diet is suitable for a fatty liver patients? I assume Lamis is overweight and he's asking about overweight and fatty liver together.
Okay, so fatty liver, actually, it's very common in obese and overall patients with higher body mass index. Reducing the fat in the diet, it's the main target. Completely omitting fried food items, full fat dairy, limiting also the amount, should not increase 3 servings, like 3 glasses in a day, or 3 servings of dairy overall, if it is milk, cheese, or yogurt. And then focusing more on complex carbohydrates, because as a fatty liver patient, he needs to have a complex carb, good amount of complex carb, like whole grain, like let's say barley, wheat, legumes. This is very important in overall condition, and also losing the weight, extra fat on the liver.
Yeah, thank you. Varun has asked one question, which is, I think it's a psychology of obesity, but still your opinion matters. What do you, if you feel like overeating before going to bed? Many people tend to eat a lot of food before going to bed. So what will be your suggestion?
We need to find the reason behind that. Majority of the people's routine is going to school or to work, being busy the whole day, neglecting the food that you should consume, and then rather than just being hungry, they are also tired at the end of the day, so they will overestimate their food intake. First step, or first thing that they need to do, is to balance their meal throughout the day, ensuring that they are covering their needs during the day, so by the end of the day they will not feel as hungry as they are used to. And then if they still feel like they want to eat, like even if after dinner or like bedtime, focus on the food that are low in calories and high in quality or high in nutrition. Like they can have with low glycemic index food, like a glass of warm milk. It could be some salad, like vegetables, like lettuce that has high fiber and water, a small sandwich, vegetable sandwich, something light. And the craving actually is due to a lack of body need, like if the body did not have enough minerals, some like magnesium or zinc, of enough, as I said, energy, so it will alarm. The first thing when we are hungry at any time we need to do is to drink water, because sometimes the body is thirsty, needs water, fluids, it's not food, but it's gonna reach us at the same alert.
Yeah, that's a good solution. Shagufta Masood is 48, diabetic, and her BMI is 29. She's asking, can she use Mediterranean diet? Please tell.
Yes, definitely, because if she doesn't have the problem of any like kidney problem or any other restrictive problem, she can, because Mediterranean diet, again, it's a phrase used for a balanced diet, which is still, it includes lean proteins, and then healthy fats and complex carbohydrates, which is the best actually for blood sugar.
Yeah, true. And Joyce is asking, already you have shared one slide for the health tip, which we are sending to every participant through emails, and that is also uploaded in the website. She's asking, calorie intake, what should be the calorie intake to lose weight, and also the water intake per day?
Okay, first the
Have a
calorie.
blanket answer.
Yeah, I have mentioned it, but I will just highlight it. It depends on so many factors. It's different from any other individual to another. It depends on the height and weight and gender, age, physical activity, but it should not exceed what is recommended for the body. If the body's recommendation to maintain weight is 1500 calories, to lose weight, we need to minimize 500 calories to 300 calories from the actual intake. So if she is 70, okay, she should not be exceeding 1400 calories to if she's 70 kg. Regarding the fluids or the water intake, it's always 1/3 of the body weight. Okay, so if she's 70 kg, again, 1/3 of the body weight is approximately 2.7 liters. This is the best way to estimate her water intake.
Yeah. Judy has given the complete details of the parameters for the weight of body. And the question what is asked, best diet to suggest for him. So basically this is an individual question. And according to the BMI, Ms. Ruba has already clearly mentioned about the calorie control for that. And I will take the second question. Daniel, I'm type 2 diabetic, where carbohydrate is the main culprit. Should I change my diet to ketogenic to allow my body burn fats instead of carbs? Will this improve my daily glucometer readings? I think, Daniel, you should be a little more aware of what you are asking because you are a little bit confused. Now, Ruba will be explaining it explain this point very beautifully. Type 2 diabetic, where carbohydrate is asked to reduce. And can the patient go for a ketogenic diet to
Okay.
burn body fats?
I got his point. What I need to explain for everyone, what is ketogenic diet? Ketogenic diet, the phrase is always hitting, but they don't know the actual what does it mean. Ketogenic diet is reaching or actually allowing the body to reach into a ketogenic state. In order to do that, you need to have very little amount of carbohydrates, which is below 30 grams to 40 grams in a day, and having so much higher amounts that it is needed from fats and from protein. So the main sources of energy in this diet focus on protein and fat. And as we know, one of the conditions, diabetes, that leads to is high cholesterol, elevated cholesterol level. So if you are depriving your body with carbohydrates, you are allowing the body to increase the cholesterol levels. This is one thing. Another thing, it can lead to kidney stones if it is done for a longer time, and so many other problems. And then if you are on medication with type 2 diabetes, you should be aware that some of the medication are hypoglycemic, so that can cause you very low blood sugar levels. Because again, I highlighted before, carbohydrates is the main energy of source. Reducing the carbohydrates to have a better blood sugar, it doesn't mean depriving your body. It's just taking less of simple sugar or high glycemic index food and taking the proper amount, not exceeding that. So how much your body needs, how much calories you are taking, we will decide on how much carbohydrate intake and focusing on whole grain. And instead of having white refined products, you can have whole grain products. And best way to estimate or like take, let's say, as much close as possible to your needs per meal, try not to exceed 1/5 of carbohydrates. For example, if it is rice, it is 1 cup. If it is bread, it is 1 slice. This is the best way to reduce the carbohydrates in a diet.
Yeah, that was the best way to answer the blanket queries, because most of the questions are repeated. So I will just ask one question because I was wondering many times we come across this keto diet and paleo diet and but the popular diets, what you suggested, you have mentioned the popular diets and you have given the differences about that also and different of impact on the body. So my understanding, according to your session, is the best diet is the Mediterranean diet and the calorie control. So if may I ask again, Ruba, can you please suggest the best diet for overall health as well as the weight loss?
Best diet is where we restrict refined sugar, processed food, limit saturated fat and trans fat, and have lean protein. The diet that combines with all, it is as close as to the Mediterranean diet with the percentage. And now a lot of studies are being there in the market. Also, it has been raised that a lot of patients are actually losing weight and improving their health by following such diet. And it's not only one diet, by the way. We can always combine 2 to 3 diets at the same time, but this has to be monitored by a professional and after evaluating the body, because maybe a person is fit to follow the Mediterranean diet, but then he has developed kidney stones or certain thing that actually we need to increase certain food and omit certain food in his food, in his diet. So let us not name it, but give it as a phrase of a balanced diet.
Yeah, that's the perfect answer. Mohammed Fawzan, sorry, is asking, I'm not diabetic, but overweight. Can you tell me the effect of taking berberine for a weight loss? Berberine is, I think, a supplement for people are using for the weight loss. And it's a combination of herbs and the berries, which boost the metabolism. Mr. Ruba, can you comment on that?
Since he is overweight, not obese, I mentioned that the rate will be slower. So he needs to either restrict a little bit more the calories or increase his physical activity or have another strategy. It can help, but I don't suggest to use it at the start, because give the chance for the body to adapt to the change of less calories and different lifestyle, increasing physical activity, and see the effect of that. If we saw that the rate is slower than the rate that he should be, then we can add one more help or strategy that can aid in reaching his goal faster.
Yeah, thank you. One interesting question, I think this will be the last question I'll be taking. Varun is asking, how do I reduce sugar craving? And what are the alternatives? Instead of sugar, can I have a sugar-free powder for tea and coffee? And while doing the diet and energy drops, how do I feel not tired? Because
Okay.
people understand if they reduce the sugar, they will feel tired.
But he mentioned it, reduce the sugar, not the carbohydrates. If you had enough carbohydrates, like complex carbohydrates, not simple sugar, you will not feel hungry. You should have a balanced meal. When you have the cravings of sugar, this means that your body is not having enough of the other carbohydrates. Are you eating fruits? Are you eating salads? Raw vegetables, not only cooked vegetables. You should make sure that you are exposing to all different kind of fruits and vegetables. Then you ask yourself, this is the question. And a lot of studies tend to say that cravings continuously to sugar means it is an alarm for the body to check the magnesium, zinc, and other minerals in the body. Try to have water, the first thing. You still have the cravings, try to have fruits, a piece of fruits, or if some vegetables and raw nuts, and see how is it. Usually after some time, if you are reaching your target intake of different nutrients, this craving will stop.
That was a wonderful solution. Yeah. Again, I'll take this is not a question, but I'm just replying to Shagufta Masood. Shagufta, Ms. Ruba has already shared one health tip about 1200 calories. And you might be receiving the health tip of different diet plans in your emails. And if you miss to see in your email, log into your website and you will find all the health tips available there. Ms. Ruba, for diet, she has given a lot of health tips. So you can find all those things here. Okay, one last question I will take. Varun is asking, is orange juice good for diabetes?
In diabetes or high blood sugars, we actually ask them to stop having juice. It is the fastest way to raise blood sugar and cause a spike in the blood sugar and then HbA1c or the accumulated blood sugar. Regardless, it's apple juice, orange juice, any kind of juice, fresh juice, packet juice is still sugar. Sugar and high in sugar content, it will affect the blood sugar. So no, always alternate with fresh fruits. It can have less effect, less amount of sugar and higher fiber. And of course, you will remain having the vitamins and benefit out of it.
Yeah, thank you. And see, the diet, whatever the importance, diet plays an important role for diet, weight management. Exercise is the second pillar which plays a very important role. So our next webinar will be that. And for health tips, Ms. Ruba has given a lot of health tips in the website. You might be receiving. If you are not receiving, please check your junk mail. If you still don't find it, please visit the website. It's already there, and you can use all those health tips for your provision. If still you have a problem, you can write a mail to support at RAK Weight Loss Challenge. We'll be happy to answer. Dr. Nitya, over to you. Dr. Nitya. Saloni, can you please share the
Am I
next
audible?
update? Yeah, audible.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Vilku and Ms. Ruba. So, very good questions asked and a lot of information which we received for the obesity program. I hope it was very fruitful and a lot of concerns addressed and a lot of modern diets also which we learned. Thank you so much. And we'll meet you in the next webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Thank you, Ruba. Thank you, Dr. Nitya.